It started on the rooftop of a new hotel in downtown Chicago, one of those trendy glass and steel places with a name that sounds like a password. Lily had told me not to come. Just a networking mixer, babe. Boring stuff. Industry people you don't know. She said it while brushing mascara onto her lashes, not even looking at me. I'd learned to pick up on the little shifts in her tone over the years, and something about the way she said it didn't feel right. Still, I didn't argue. I'd spent most of our relationship trusting her blindly. Too blindly, if I'm being honest. I didn't want to be the insecure husband who questions every late-night text or happy hour that runs past midnight. But that night, something in my gut just wouldn't let it go. So I showed up. The valet gave me a look like I didn't belong. But I didn't care. I took the elevator up, heart pounding for reasons I couldn't quite name. Maybe I already knew. Maybe I just needed to see it for myself. When the doors opened, I stepped into a world that didn't feel like mine. Rooftop lights shimmered over expensive shoes and louder-than-life conversations. Everyone looked like they'd stepped out of a commercial, flawless, charming, bored. And there she was. Lily stood on the far side of the rooftop near the glass railing, wearing a black dress I hadn't seen before. Something tight, elegant, a little too daring for a work event. She was laughing with her friend Brooke and a man I didn't recognize. Tall guy, expensive haircut, that kind of effortless smirk you only get from never being told no. He had his hand on the small of her back, subtle but familiar. She didn't flinch, didn't step away. She leaned in closer instead. Her laugh cut through the noise, and something in me just crumbled. It was a real laugh, not the polite, tight-lipped smile she gave when we were around my coworkers. This was the kind of laugh she used to reserve for lazy mornings in bed or inside jokes that only we understood. Except this time it wasn't for me. It was for him. I stood there with a drink I didn't want, watching from a distance like some forgotten extra in a movie about my own life. I should have left the second I saw her, but I couldn't. I just kept watching, like I needed to collect evidence for my own heartbreak. Then I saw it happen. Lily leaned toward Brooke and whispered something. Brooke smirked, clearly amused, and then Lily said it, loud enough to cut through the conversation around her. God, I'm so tired of the family life. I didn't mishear it. My stomach dropped, and I swear the air got thinner. It was a throwaway line, something meant to sound cheeky or carefree, but it hit like a gut punch. A few people laughed. The guy next to her leaned in closer. And then, just like that, they started walking toward the elevator. Lily didn't even look around. Didn't check to see if anyone was watching. She didn't see me. Or maybe she did and didn't care. Either way, she left. With him. No hesitation. I didn't follow. Didn't call out her name. I stood there a few more minutes, watching the empty space where she had been, the laughter still echoing in my head. People moved around me like I was invisible. I downed the rest of my drink, some bourbon watered down by melted ice, and left without saying a word. The elevator ride down felt longer than the one up. I remember staring at my reflection in the mirror-like doors, trying to make sense of what I'd just seen. She was done. She just didn't have the guts to say it out loud. Maybe she thought she could quietly slide into a new life without confrontation. Like if she played it cool enough, I'd just let it all slide. I ordered a car, sat in the back seat with the city lights blurring past the window, and didn't say a word to the driver. I didn't cry, didn't scream, just sat there with this hollow, numb feeling, like someone had scooped my insides out and left me running on fumes. When I got home, I didn't even bother turning on the lights. I just stood in the kitchen, staring at the spot where we used to leave notes for each other. Gone to yoga. Left you some coffee. Pick up wine. Stupid little things that now felt like relics from a life that had already ended. By morning, I had done 3 things. Changed the locks, blocked her number, and packed her essentials into 3 boxes I left in the garage. I didn't need a long conversation. I didn't want an explanation. I'd seen enough. Her absence the night before said everything she was too cowardly to put into words. There was no dramatic confrontation, no screaming match, just silence. Cold, deliberate silence. Because when someone shows you exactly who they are, the smartest thing you can do is believe them. By noon the next day she came back. No warning, no call. Just the sound of tires crunching the driveway and her walking up to the door like everything was fine. Like the night before hadn't happened. Like she hadn't walked out of my life with some guy whose name I still didn't know. She was wearing this oversized gray sweatshirt. Definitely not hers. The sleeves covered half her hands, and the neckline was stretched out like it had been yanked on or slept in. There was no purse, no briefcase, just her standing there with that calm, practiced look on her face. The kind of look she wore when she was trying to control the narrative. Her makeup was perfect. Not even a smudge under her eyes. Her hair pulled back in that too neat ponytail, like she'd done it 10 times in the mirror before walking out of wherever she'd stayed. Her nails were freshly done. A soft coral color I hadn't seen on her before. And there was a thin, gold chain around her neck I didn't recognize. The little details you notice when you're in shock. When your brain is too busy grasping at the physical world to process the emotional hurricane ripping through your chest. She tried her key once. It didn't turn. She tried again, jiggled the handle as if maybe it was stuck. Then she paused, stared at the door, and knocked. 3 soft, calculated taps like she was asking to enter a meeting. Not a home she'd just abandoned. I opened it, but only halfway. The deadbolt still locked. The security chain stretched tight between us. That metal sliver of distance was enough. She looked irritated, not surprised. Her mouth tightened, and she gave me this small, incredulous shake of the head, like I was the one being unreasonable, like I was the one who needed to explain something. Really? She said, her voice low and smooth, like this was some kind of game. You changed the locks? No, I said flatly. I upgraded them. She stared at me, waiting. I didn't say anything else. I wanted her to feel that silence, to feel how empty everything had become. She leaned slightly to the side, trying to peer past me, like she expected to see the living room unchanged, her things untouched, her shoes still by the front door. I just came to grab a few things, she said, feigning calm. Can we talk? No, I replied. That got to her. Her posture shifted. She folded her arms across her chest, and I saw her eyes go cold. You're being dramatic, she said. You don't even know what happened last night. I almost laughed. Almost. You left, I said. You left with a man you told me not to worry about. Oh wait, I forgot, you didn't even tell me about him at all. You left me standing in a room full of strangers while you walked out with someone who had his hand on your back all night. So no, I don't think I need a full report. She rolled her eyes. It was a conversation. That's it. You're blowing this way out of proportion. A conversation? I said, stepping back just enough to widen the gap in the door so she could see the packed boxes behind me. Then you won't mind if the rest of your clothes have a conversation with your suitcase. They're in the garage. I'll be donating anything still here after next week. Her jaw tensed. You're really doing this? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She knew. Then came the switch. I could see it before she even opened her mouth. The way her shoulders straightened, the flicker of calculation behind her eyes. She wasn't here to apologize. She was here to reframe it, to twist it. And sure enough, her voice changed. Harder now, clipped. This is why I didn't tell you I was going out. You always overreact. You treat me like a prisoner. Like I owe you explanations for every breath I take. There it was. The turn. The instant victimhood. The textbook script people use when they've been caught doing something they can't spin any other way. You walked out on your marriage, I said. You didn't go to a yoga class or a girls' night. You left with a stranger. After saying you were tired of family life. You said it like it was a joke. Like everything we built together was some boring chapter you needed to close. She didn't respond. Was that your way of soft-launching the divorce? I asked. Crack a joke. Find a guy? Vanish into the night. Then show up the next day like you forgot your laptop charger? Mark, she said. And for the first time, there was a flicker of something in her voice. Not regret. Not sadness. More like frustration that I wasn't playing the role she expected. No, I cut her off. You don't get to say my name like it still means something. She bit her lip, eyes darting to the side like she was trying to come up with the next move. When she looked back at me, she dropped the act completely. Her face hardened, and her voice dropped a notch. "You can't just throw me out," she said, her tone sharp. "I have rights." I nodded slowly. "You do, and I've honored them. Everything in the garage is labeled. Nothing's been damaged. If you want to involve lawyers, that's fine too. But we're done here. You don't live here anymore." She opened her mouth, maybe to argue, maybe to threaten, but I closed the door before she could get the words out. The chain clinked softly as I slid it back into place, and for a moment, I just stood there, heart pounding, hands shaking, adrenaline buzzing under my skin like static. She knocked once more, a single, hollow knock, then silence. A few minutes later, I heard the car start and pull away. I didn't watch. I didn't stand at the window like a movie character, wondering if she'd look back, because I knew she wouldn't. She'd already looked back once and chose to keep walking. I didn't sleep that night, not in the tossing and turning way people mean when they say that. I didn't even try. I sat on the edge of the bed, in the dark, staring at nothing while my brain looped through everything. Every word, every look, every choice she made. I kept thinking about how easily she'd lied, how comfortably she slipped into that role, composed, polished, like none of it touched her, like I was the one losing it for locking the door. But what kept me awake most was the look in her eyes, that flat coldness, that quiet certainty that she could twist the story, turn it on me. The next morning, I told myself I wouldn't check up on her. I wouldn't stalk her socials, wouldn't drive past her office, wouldn't let myself spiral into obsession. But around lunchtime, I got in the car and found myself heading downtown anyway. I told myself it was closure, that I wasn't looking for confrontation, just confirmation. I needed to see it with my own eyes, that the woman who'd shared my bed and my dreams had already replaced me, that I wasn't crazy. So I parked across from her building and waited. An hour went by. People came and went, most of them strangers. I sat there with the air off and the windows down, the faint sound of traffic humming around me. Then I saw him, same guy from the rooftop. Couldn't mistake him. That perfect jawline, that smooth tailored suit. He walked out of the building with the casual confidence of someone who'd never been told no in his life. He was laughing into his phone, eyes hidden behind designer sunglasses. And 5 minutes later, Lily walked out. She didn't look around, didn't hesitate. She walked up to him like it was routine, familiar. They crossed the street together and turned into a cafe on the corner, one of those glass-front, minimalist places where everyone looks like they're waiting for someone important. I followed on foot, staying back far enough to stay invisible. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. They sat near the window, ordered coffee. She smiled. He touched her wrist. And then, without a single glance over her shoulder, she leaned in and kissed him. Not a timid peck, not a flirtatious game. It was natural, comfortable, like they'd done it 100 times before. I stood there on the sidewalk, behind the glare of the window, and watched my marriage die for the second time. And this time, it didn't even hurt the same way. The shock was gone. The ache was duller now, more like a bruise you keep pressing on just to feel something. I didn't knock on the glass, didn't storm in, didn't even take out my phone. I just turned and walked away, because there was nothing left to fight for. That night, around 9, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Lily. I didn't expect an apology. I was right not to. "I can't believe you locked me out like that. That was beyond disrespectful. I needed time and you're acting like I ran off and joined a cult. You've always been controlling, Mark. Always. Maybe this is exactly why I needed space in the first place." No mention of the rooftop, or the man, or the cafe kiss. Just blame, projection. I stared at the message for a while, then turned my phone off and tossed it onto the kitchen counter. I didn't need to respond. I wasn't going to justify her choices by defending myself. The truth didn't need a reply. 2 days later, I was clearing out the hall closet when someone rang the doorbell. I wasn't expecting anyone. I walked up to the door cautiously, half thinking it was her again. But it wasn't. It was Brooke. Lily's best friend. The same Brooke who'd stood by her side at the wedding, who helped her pick out her dress, who co-hosted our housewarming party years ago. She looked nervous, hands stuffed into her jacket pockets, hair pulled back like she didn't want to be recognized. "I know I shouldn't be here," she said before I could say anything. "But I need to talk to you, just for a minute." I didn't say a word, just stepped aside and let her in. We sat in the living room and she got right to it. "I don't know what Lily's told you," she began, "but I want you to hear something from someone who isn't trying to win anything." I nodded slowly, unsure of what she was about to drop on me. "She's been saying things," Brooke continued, "to people, about the marriage, about you. She's rewriting it, telling people she was stuck, that you were suffocating her, that she wasn't allowed to be herself. And look, I know it's not my business, but I've seen her do this before. Twist the story to make herself feel better about whatever fallout she's leaving behind." I stayed silent. "She told me the night of that rooftop party that you were too intense, that you'd probably freak out if you found out about the guy. And when I asked her what she was doing, she just said, 'I deserve this,' like she was owed it." I felt something inside me tighten. "She's not reacting to a broken marriage," Brooke said. "She's controlling the narrative. She's already got the next act lined up. I've seen her do this with friends, old jobs, even her sister. It's like she burns the bridge and then acts like the smoke was always there." I didn't know what to say. Part of me was grateful for the honesty. Another part of me wished I hadn't heard it. Brooke stood to leave. She paused at the door, hand resting on the knob. "For what it's worth," she said, "I think you deserved better." And then she was gone. I locked the door behind her, leaned back against the frame, and let out a long breath. Lily hadn't just been looking for a way out. She was building an escape hatch, brick by brick, lie by lie, and I wasn't going to be the one cleaning up the mess when she torched the whole place behind her. Mediation was scheduled for the following Thursday. We hadn't spoken since her last text, and I planned to keep it that way. There was nothing left to discuss that didn't require attorneys present. I wasn't interested in being baited into another emotional loop of blame and deflection. At this point, she wasn't my wife, she was a plaintiff. The building where it was held had that sterile, faux warmth thing going on. Abstract paintings, artificial plants, jazz humming faintly from ceiling speakers. I got there early. Mr. Graves, my lawyer, met me in the lobby and gave me a nod. He was a quiet man in his 60s who looked like he could gut a courtroom without raising his voice. "That's exactly why I hired him." "She's late," he noted, glancing at his watch. I didn't respond. I didn't care. She could be 5 minutes late or 5 hours. There was no apology coming either way. When she finally walked in, it was like watching a performance begin. She was dressed like someone auditioning for the role of wronged woman. Cream blazer, heels that clicked like accusations, hair perfect, lips glossed in something neutral. She looked clean, calm, unbothered, like none of this had touched her. She didn't look at me, not once, just breezed into the room like she owned it and sat down across from me without so much as a nod. The mediator, a soft-spoken man named Harold, opened with pleasantries, tried to lighten the air, but the room was heavy, weighted down with the ghosts of what we didn't say. Mr. Graves handed over a manila folder filled with documents, dates, photos, security cam footage of her with the guy, hotel receipts, a copy of the Instagram story someone had tagged her in, laughing with her arm wrapped around him 2 nights after she walked out. She barely blinked as Harold reviewed it all. "I see," the mediator said carefully. "So, these materials suggest a timeline inconsistent with the claims of separation? She never left the house until the night she walked out," Mr. Graves said calmly. "This was not a mutually agreed-upon break. It was unilateral abandonment." Lily's lawyer, a fresh-faced guy named Carter who looked like he still checked his ID at bars, cleared his throat. "My client maintains that the relationship had eroded significantly before that evening. There was emotional distance, a loss of connection. She told people she was tired of family life," I said finally, breaking my silence. Then she left a party with another man and didn't come home. Lily still didn't look at me. Her jaw was tight, her expression frozen. Carter leaned in and whispered something to her. She nodded once, but she didn't flinch, didn't apologize, didn't defend it either. She's seeking equitable division of property, Carter said. Half of the home, the car, and a portion of her husband's savings account. Given that she placed her own career on hold to support his early in the marriage. That one actually made me laugh. Slipped out bitter and sharp. Lily finally glanced at me, just for a second. That was the moment I realized what this was about. She didn't want the money. She didn't want the house. She wanted control. She wanted to win. Harold asked if she'd like to make a statement. She sat up straighter, took a breath, and began. I was isolated, she said. Controlled. Mark had to know where I was at all times. If I didn't answer a call within 5 minutes, I got interrogated. I felt like a prisoner in my own home. My jaw clenched. Mr. Graves gently placed a hand on my arm as a warning. He discouraged me from going back to work, she continued. Said it wasn't necessary, that he could provide. But the truth is, he wanted me dependent. She told me she didn't want to work, I said flatly. She said her job drained her, that she wanted time to write her book, to find herself. I supported that, financially and emotionally. She says, Carter jumped in. That support came with conditions. Mr. Graves opened another folder. Would you like to explain this email chain? He asked, sliding it across the table. It's between her and a friend, dated 4 months before she left. In it, she says, and I quote, Mark has no idea. I feel bad sometimes, but I can't stop. I need to feel alive again. Lily's eyes flicked down to the papers, then back up. She didn't even deny it. I was venting, she said calmly. It's not a crime to have feelings. No, I replied, my voice low. But it is a choice to act on them. Over and over again. There was a long pause. Harold cleared his throat. Let's take 5, he said gently. Everyone, please, let's breathe. We stepped outside the conference room. Mr. Graves leaned close. She's not here to settle. She's here to reclaim power. You good? I nodded. I was done hoping this would end with decency. When we resumed, Lily was even more composed. She wanted the car, citing personal needs. She wanted to retain access to our joint vacation account, which she argued included funds she'd contributed early on. She claimed emotional distress, that I'd abandoned her by becoming emotionally unavailable in the months before she left. But the thing that really got me was how flat her tone was, how careful. She'd rehearsed this, every word. She's minimizing everything, Mr. Graves whispered, which means she's still hiding something. And he was right, because halfway through our session, Lily did something strange. She asked if we could have a brief sidebar. Just her and me, no lawyers. The mediator agreed. Carter looked unsure, but nodded. We stepped into a smaller room. She stood by the window, arms crossed. She didn't speak right away, just stared out at the skyline. I'm not trying to ruin you, she said finally. I just don't want to lose everything. You already did, I said. You just don't know it yet. She turned to face me. You think you've got the moral high ground, but you don't. You never saw me. Not really. I stopped being your partner years ago. You just didn't notice. I blinked. So instead of telling me that you told another man? She flinched just barely. I needed out. No, I said, stepping closer. You needed a way to look like the hero. You needed to feel justified. Silence stretched between us. She looked tired suddenly, like the performance was finally wearing thin. Why him? I asked. Why that night? She shook her head. It wasn't about him. It was about me. That's the first honest thing you've said. We went back into the main room and wrapped things up. No agreement was reached. She left with Carter, not looking back. As I walked out into the cold air, I realized I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even sad. I was just done. She'd built a version of reality where she was always the misunderstood soul, the one boxed in, suffocated. And when the narrative didn't match the facts, she rewrote it. I couldn't stop her from telling her story, but I didn't have to be part of it anymore. The letter came 3 days later. I recognized the return address immediately, her lawyer's office. My chest tightened before I even opened it. I sat at the kitchen table, the same table where we used to eat dinner and make plans, the same one where I had told her we were over. Funny how something as ordinary as a table can become a stage for every pivotal moment. I opened the envelope slowly. Inside, a formal request for spousal support. She was claiming emotional distress, career stagnation, psychological trauma from a decade of suppressive domestic conditions. Her attorney used phrases like compensatory restitution and marital imbalance. I had to stop halfway through and reread one sentence 3 times. She'd never been emotionally neglected. She had been adored, and she'd taken that love and worn it down until it cracked. I didn't scream, didn't throw anything. I just leaned back in the chair and laughed quietly, bitterly. And then the unexpected happened. Seth, his name finally had a face, emailed me. I almost didn't open it. I thought it might be some ridiculous warning or defense, maybe even a threat. But it wasn't. It was a confession. Mark, I know you don't owe me anything, and I probably deserve a punch in the face for what I was part of. I thought you should know. She lied to me too. He went on to say Lily told him she and I had already been separated, that I was controlling and unstable, that she had been trying to escape a toxic home and had nowhere else to go. He admitted they were together in mately, emotionally, all of it. But he also said he ended it the moment he saw the cracks in her stories. When he caught her lying about where she was, who she was with. When he saw her using the same techniques on him that she'd used on me. I started feeling like I was drowning in her version of reality. I just thought you should hear it from someone else. You're not crazy. You were just the first one to see through her. I sat with that for a long time. That email wasn't an olive branch. It wasn't closure. But it was confirmation. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something close to clarity. It wasn't just that she'd left. It was that she had rewritten the entire script to make herself the protagonist of a tragedy she created. And when it stopped working for her, she turned the page and started again. A new victim on a new stage. 2 days later, she showed up. No warning. No call. She walked into the lobby of my office like she still belonged in my world. My assistant was too stunned to stop her. I came out of my office to see Lily standing in the reception area in a beige coat and that same damn gold necklace. She looked worse now. Tired. Pale. Like the mask had cracked and she couldn't tape it back together in time. Mark, she said quietly. I just need a second. I didn't speak. I just stood there. Seth left, she said, staring at the floor. I messed it all up. I lied too much. I couldn't keep it all straight. People feel like they're drowning around me. That's what he said. I waited. I knew there was more. She looked up then, her eyes glassy but not quite crying. I'm not here to ask for anything, she said. I don't know where else to go. And there it was. Not an apology. Not remorse. Just the admission that her lies had finally caught up to her. She had nowhere else to fall but back toward me. But she didn't realize she wasn't falling toward the same person anymore. I took one step forward. She looked hopeful for a second. I told you once, I said, voice low. You already lost everything. That hasn't changed. Then I turned and walked away. Left her standing there in a place she didn't belong anymore. She waited. I heard her heels shift on the tile. But the scene didn't turn. There was no music swelling in the background. No reconciliation. Just a cold, quiet end. Weeks passed. Then a month. No more letters. No more texts. No more lawyers. Just silence. I repainted the bedroom. Donated the couch we used to curl up on. Got rid of the wine glasses she insisted on keeping from our wedding registry. I changed the locks. The rhythm of the house. The scent. Everything that carried her shadow. Except one thing. A note. Not the kind with flowery words or a romantic flourish. Just a scrap of printer paper she left on the fridge the night she moved out. Meant to be cruel and forgettable. It read, "You'll thank me someday.